Yeah, this was a unmitigated disaster. I mean, well, actually, it could have been very preventative, but we'll get to that. Um, yeah, me and several others were talking about when Becky and Charlotte were drafted to their respective brands as part of the draft. I was like, okay, so does that mean they're going to drop their respective titles to someone on their respective brands, or are they going to do the predictable route and have a title exchange, and then they're going to have a match at Survivor Series because we have to do that route? We called it. So, yeah, we called it, and I'm going to just say it right now. I knew when I heard they were gonna make this a full-fledged angle with those title exchange, I was like, well, that's gonna suck. I mean, just from the concept alone, that sounds like a terrible idea because it doesn't really legitimize any title reign. It just makes it look like they're props, toys, just switching around like you guys share. But then the angle happened, and I didn't watch SmackDown. I haven't been watching WWE for a while. I haven't watched WWE full time since the pandemic happened, and I stopped watching it altogether for a while. I've just been keeping track of what's going on social media and probably occasional YouTube clips. But besides that, I have really stayed away from WWE. But I I had to check this out for what I was hearing because I knew this was going to be bad. But just seeing the clip of the exchange, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. So they do that. So Sonya Deville's out there. She's the WWE official because they have to wait until her whole thing with the issue with the psychopath is resolved. I think that's the route they're going with, or waiting that long. But yeah, Becky and Charlotte do the exchange, but the exchange goes horribly, horribly wrong. Like, it kind of doesn't help that the exchange was so uncomfortable for them. Like, even Charlotte's body language, and Becky was like trying to look pissed, was looking a little annoyed. Like, she didn't try, like, she kept looking at Sonya mostly at the whole time for what I saw from the clip, and Charlotte was just looking very uncomfortable, like, oh, I can't believe we're actually doing this. And like I said, there is a thing that could stop this, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But they go ahead and do this exchange, but Charlotte drops the belt on the floor, drops the Raw Women's title on the floor, and everything looks so uncomfortable. It looks like they're gonna fight. And I was like, okay, is that the route they're going with? With Survivor Series, they're gonna fight over Charlotte being disrespectful because I'm like, okay, at least it's better than the brand supremacy stuff. Yeah. Let's just say that's not what happened. So apparently things have deteriorated backstage behind the scenes from a bunch of reports. Like, in the last 72 hours, there have been numerous reports coming out about Charlotte and what happened on that angle. Like, they exchanged the belts after more uncomfortableness, and Sasha Banks comes out and confronts Charlotte, the now new SmackDown Women's Champion, because titles are toys now. And yeah. So let's get to the more uncomfortable stuff. So apparently, after this whole exchange that on the photo on the background, there was some issues with this. So apparently backstage, Becky and Charlotte got into an argument, though they didn't come to blows like fist fighting. But there was updates from Sean Ross Sapp saying that Flair was asked to leave the arena after her and Lynch's verbal altercation backstage, and Lynch had a post as Lynch had a show after SmackDown where Bianca, and Flair was asked to leave before its conclusion to avoid, a potential fisticuffs fight. And then Brian Alvarez, take that for what you will, came out and tweeted that Flair was escorted out of building by security because he was such a dangerous threat, and like beyond Becky. And Shawn Michaels came out with another report that notes that per the original plan, Becky Lynch was supposed to snatch away the belt from Flair and brag about being Becky 2 belts again, to which Sonya Deville would order her to give her the belt to Flair. But Flair reportedly disagreed with the idea of that booking detail, but was told to stay the course, and Flair was trying to say that, this whole me dropping the belt was accidental. With that added context, now it's like, is it really accidental, Charlotte, or are you just lying? We don't know that part, but yeah, this whole situation was clearly deteriorating, and I don't think it's gonna improve. I mean, now it's being said that Flair and Lynch are said to have were heated, and that Flair and Lynch's relationship as friends has been strained for some time. People close to the situation says Flair didn't appreciate being called plastic doing a promo a couple of years, and it's been tense since. And I was like, oh god, you should have just went with Charlotte's idea with what she proposed prior to avoid all this uncomfortableness. So yeah, apparently, like, when they went ahead and did this exchange, Lynch let her have it when the pair were back in Gorilla, but Flair swore it was an accident, though source says few people believe that, and they could, and Becky threw the title at Charlotte after Charlotte dropped her belt. So that clearly says, yeah, the four horsewomen have completely fallen apart here. And then WWE decided, in their professional ignorance, in their rerun, in order to compete with AEW, because that's definitely not saying they're in their heads, went ahead. Originally, SmackDown was not going to air, but due to the originally being scheduled for Game 7 between the Red Sox and the Astros that ended in 6 games, WWE was ordered by Fox to fill in the gap, because that's clearly the plan. So they edit the confrontation. I probably would have just scrapped the whole thing altogether and just have Roman and Brock's near 40-minute interaction be the opening segment, be the ending segment, just to, make it feel a lot more clean. So they edited it. I saw the edit and I was like, wow. So instead of make it look like something horrible went backstage wrong and make it look like it was, you instead turned them into petulant children who just did it because they could. Yeah, that didn't help. So I was like, oh god, Vince, like, you somehow made the situation worse with the edit. So there have been more reports coming out. So there have been conflicting reports, though there has been no confirmation on this, other than some articles from various people, though there are disputes from Fightful Select's reports, that apparently Bianca was being campaigned by Charlotte to beat her clean in the ring and take the Raw Women's title because Bianca was moving to Raw, and therefore they could just do that and end the whole debacle. And this would have really avoided a ton of things with the situation that devolved between them. Or you could just swallow your pride and just have Sasha just drop the belt, Sasha win the belt, and then you could do a tournament for the Raw Women's title heading into Survivor Series, and then do a match like that. But that would require effort and thought, and we can't have that. things were apparently worse going on, and yeah, there's been a lot of heat on Charlotte, and the heat has gotten worse, and now they're feeling like she's pushed to a boiling point, and people in the locker room saw her as, like, okay, this is what PW Insider reported. That there is no heat on Becky Lynch for the backstage incident, and that the feeling that she was pushed to the boiling point, and people in the locker room saw her standing her ground and protecting herself. And also knowing that there is heat on Flair in certain circles backstage, the feeling was that she was disrespected Lynch, and that some felt that Charlotte took the title exchange statement that was supposed to start the build for a match with Sasha Banks, instead of put all the attention on herself and Lynch, who was moving to Raw. Banks is being positioned to be a top face on SmackDown, but came across as the third wheel in the segment, even though Sasha came back as a heel, but we're going to ignore that. There are other companies who felt that Flair's actions undermined Sasha Banks. When Flair attempted to pull the SmackDown Women's Championship from Lynch, that was not planned, and the people in the WWE believe that Flair did that in a way to one-up and make Lynch look stupid, because the edit they did later was clearly not making them look like children and stupid. And according to PW Insider, apparently Lynch throwing the belt was in the script, though judging by how the vibe was, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a contradiction. Why Flair voiced concerns that she was being made to look weak. Okay, so this is the thing. She didn't want the title reign to look like it was completely meaningless for her, which is understandable in that regard. I actually get that. Like, she campaigned to get this title back, then she fought to get the title back, and now she's just gonna trade it for the blue belt. It was, like, I get that argument, but at the same time, like I said, this whole thing could have been avoided if what reported was true. Charlotte demanded that, yes, Bianca should beat me clean in the ring. Then all this could have been avoided. All this could have been avoided if Vince actually listened to Charlotte on that regard. Flair was said to be very upset. As noted earlier, she was told to leave the arena during the Lynch Dark match and to avoid further possible problems, and Flint and TalkSport reported that Vince McMahon was not happy about her leaving before talking with him. As for the FU WWE tweet that was sent out by Andrade, it's not 100% clear if it was directed at WWE because of what happened backstage with his fiancée, Flair, or if he was referring to his AEW Rampage match that many are praising as better than anything he was allowed to do in WWE. So she still, and people wanted to know if she still has some time to how long her contract's up, but it's been said that she still has years left on her current contract. The only way that's going to happen unless WWE really fires her. And Flair was said to be heading to Orlando to support Andrade at Idolo at tonight's AEW Dynamite event, at the AEW Dynamite that took place on Saturday. And then PW Torch, our favorite news site that had no controversy whatsoever, like proposing a conspiracy theory that never got edited and never got looked over for review because the guy was just so untouchable. Yeah, I'm still annoyed with that. I'm like, granted, he apologized, but still, the fact that I'm still having to remind myself the PW Torch could have avoided all this if they just read the article or edited it context-wise. This whole thing would have been avoided, and he'd probably still have a job at PW Torch. So, yeah, let's get back into this. From what Wade Keller said, from what he was told from people behind the scenes, that none of the women want to work with Charlotte anymore, like not in the ring, in a match, or on the mic. And it's been sort of not going into a ton of details. In some situations, there's been speculation that I didn't want to get into in terms of what's going on or what's causing it, but it's become newsworthy again last night after the events. Saying, I specifically reached out to people seeking out Charlotte's side of this because it does, from people I've been talking to, it just feels so one-sided, and these are people I trust, and I talk to them about other things. This isn't like when I'm talking to people who are anti-Charlotte. It's still the sort of people that in WWE I talk to, some wrestlers and others who are just reliable, and the stuff they tell me seems agenda-free and it's been played out as standing the test of time before. I don't hear anyone defending Charlotte in this. Somebody in some any words said Becky is a hero to the locker room for calling out Charlotte, not letting her get away with what she does. So it's been said. So the article just goes into detail that Charlotte has become increasingly difficult, has isolated herself, and that people who used to like Charlotte don't even recognize her anymore. How she's become a completely different person and has become very egotistically centric. And yeah, this does kind of, and even Sonya Deville was reportedly mad enough to want to fight Charlotte following the events of SmackDown, as reported by PW Insider. So Sonya Deville is ready to go to fisticuffs mode with her. And WWE is now finding themselves in a tricky situation as how to handle the recent issues regarding Charlotte Flair. Amid further backstage stuff of her conduct, Dave Meltzer, take of that what you will, says they find themselves to be in a tricky situation to contend with. That should WWE decide to punish Charlotte, then they set the precedent of needing to sanction any individual over any perceived issues with their backstage behavior. That if should WWE decide to punish Charlotte Flair for her actions, then they set the precedent of needing to sanction any individual over any perceived issues with their backstage behavior. So this is the part where they say it gets the tricky situation. Does WWE just want to hand her over to AEW? So let's see. WWE has a way to say the moral superiority high ground, or do they still go ahead and have an egotistical asshole attitude with AEW because they exist? If that's really the logic they're going with, then I'm gonna cry. I mean, like, Charlotte's clearly becoming unprofessional, it seems, and this whole situation can be avoided if you simply say, no, Charlotte, this is what we're going to do. You have to accept that. And, yeah, Charlotte gets that feeling she gets to do whatever she wants because of her power in WWE. And this is what I wrote to someone when they reported this. WWE really should have realized what would happen when you give someone with too much power and fill their head with endless praise and favoritism. Ain't that right, Hulk? So, yeah, they're now in a situation like, now it's like, if they punish Charlotte, then they set a precedent where they have to have to get involved more. But they also go ahead and get this whole, we can't have her go to AEW. Though, let's be real. Well, I think if she, like, the idea of Charlotte in AEW, like I said, it's starting to become less of a, she's a WWE lifer, to more of a, oh, it could actually happen now. But Charlotte in AEW, AEW kind of has this thing where they try to give people a chance, but yeah, it starts to deteriorate very badly. Oh god. Remember what happened to the last person that pissed the AEW management so many times off to the point that they had to finally take action? I get the feeling that if Charlotte doesn't, like, mellow out her behavior, if what reports are saying are true, then I don't think AEW would be a good alternative for her, because they'll tell her, you gotta put this person over, you gotta put this person over, you can't be number one instantaneously, you gotta earn your way up regardless of your name and stature. But yeah, Charlotte will probably fight that, because especially since the last person that thought that mentality was there for a while and then ultimately broke AEW's patience. And they have the patience of a saint, because I would have fired her after that conduct what happened with Thunder Rosa and her. Oh boy, I'm kind of amazed that never happened. So yeah, this whole situation completely deteriorates, and now it's like, well, Charlotte, it's going to be on Raw now, right? That ends it, right? Charlotte's going to be on SmackDown, Becky's on Raw. Well, you got to remember, oh wait, yeah, there's Survivor Series. And I don't know if either woman will be strong enough to willingly put the title away for another person just to do the fight. Like I said, if Charlotte really did petition WWE to put Bianca over, they could have avoided this whole mess from coming out, and they would have had Bianca versus Sasha at Survivor Series, and we would have gotten a better match on that. Now you run the risk that if Charlotte and Becky are still at heated exchange with each other, and they go on Survivor Series, you're risking another fighting. You're gonna risk another fight breaking down between them in a legit fight. And please though, Survivor Series seems to be cursed for WWE. Remember what happened to the last person that what's royally mad at someone backstage, and it led to a horrendous screw job that altered the course of WWE's history and of professional wrestling for a time. Yeah, they kind of faced a not as easy situation because Charlotte and Becky could just go at each other and kill each other in the ring. Metaphorically speaking, not literally. But yeah, WWE's kind of in this tricky situation. I don't know how they're going to fix this. If you want my honest take, they should have just they should have just put Bianca over on Raw that week. They could have avoided this whole mess, and we could have just moved on with our lives. But nope, they decided to be the difficult route, and now WWE has come to and now I think WWE is starting to realize again, oh wait, next time we shouldn't give people that much power in WWE, because when you start giving them praise and favoritism, especially when you say that it's her last name that makes her famous to them, and now when you say we're going to do this route and the person disagrees, it's like, well, that's going to end badly, isn't it? Oh man. And this is also because apparently many feel she knows the company needs her due to the lack of depth in the women's roster. Just she could do whatever she wants mentality. So it's like, I'm like, what the hell did you think was going to happen when you gave someone that much power? And you have the chance to put many people over. Like, you could have put Asuka more over. You could have put Io Shirai over. And yet, and WWE's currently watering down the division so they can have their sexist agenda happen. Yeah, man. Just, it's just bad, I think. It really needs, something has to be handled on that. But, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, just bad all around. So, this was Neo Reality Entertainment, the WrestleVerse, presenting whatever the hell this was. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe, check out my content in the description below. Oh, stay tuned for more. I'll see you all next time. Peace and take care, everybody, and have a good night. Have a good day.